The day Led Zeppelin's Robert Plant told Ian Matthews to quit his 9 to 5 job, his day job. I'm John Bowden. This is Rock History Music. Ian Matthews was born Ian Matthews MacDonald, June 16, 1946. He's an English singer-songwriter. He first gained attention as a founding member and vocalist for the innovative folk rock group Fairport Convention. He was on their first 3 albums. It's a group that really changed the face of folk in his country. Matthews was in the band from 67 to 69. He was also in the group when Sandy Denny joined the band on their second album, What We Did on Our Holidays, in 1969. And its follow-up on Half-Bricking later that same year. He changed his name to Ian Matthews, his mother's maiden name, in 1968, to avoid confusion with Ian MacDonald, late great member of King Crimson and later Foreigner. He moved on to create Matthews Southern Comfort in 1969. It was a band that was rooted in American country music and even rockabilly. The group had numerous lineups, but they did have a #1 hit in Europe with Joni Mitchell's Woodstock. Ian Matthews has never been one to stay in the same place. In the 70s, he formed another group, Plainsong, an ensemble with British songwriter Andy Roberts. In 1979, he had a number 13 hit on the charts with the Terence Boland song, Shake It. It's a tune that's become a soft rock and yacht rock classic. During the 80s, Matthews turned towards the business side of music. He was a rep for Island Records. He was also an A&R man, artist and repertoire. But then he was persuaded by, of all people, Robert Plant of Led Zeppelin to get back to his own music. So Matthews returned to the US, working on Plainsong Records, where he released a great version of Peter Gabriel's Mercy Street. In 2000, Matthews settled on a new home, the Netherlands, which was his springboard to tour all over Europe. He later contributed to a tribute album to his old bandmate Sandy Denny, who had died in 1978 at the early age of 31. As Matthews, like a lot of us, was looking at the clock, he released a new album, his 38th solo recording, How Much Is Enough. Did Robert Plant really ask you to come back to music when you had?
He did. Yeah,
you
he
were
did.
You were behind the desk or something.
I was
Right? You were working for Island.
I just finished. I was between working for Island and working for Windham Hill. I just finished with Island, and I got the job at Windham Hill. And I said to them, and I got an invite from Fairport to. They have an annual festival in England called Cropredy. It draws 20,000 people. And I had an invite to go and play Cropredy. And I hadn't played for 2 years, but the premise was that I would play an hour-long set and Fairport would be my backing band. And I thought, that sounds great. I'd like to do that. Maybe it's a way to get back in, or maybe it's just a one-off. And I went and did it, got a great reception. Incredible reception. I walked off stage and there was Robert. And he basically said to me, what are you fucking about with this A&R stuff? What are you doing? He said, what I just witnessed up there, you need to follow up on it. You need to get back in, get back on the horse that threw you and follow it down and see what you can make of it. Become a songwriter again, become a performer again. Just do what you're best at. I thought, okay, I'll think about it. And I couldn't stop thinking about it.
So were you friends with him?
Yeah, I knew Robert. Yeah, I've known him since the old days. Yeah.
What was your impression of Zeppelin? I mean, it's very different music from what you make.
I wasn't really into it, but I love what he does now. I did an outdoor gig with him a couple of years ago in Norway, and he was headlining, and I played an opening slot with the Salmon Smokers, and we hadn't seen each other for a long time, so we met afterwards in the green room and reminisced and talked about, well, everything really. But I love what he's doing now, even outside the Alison Krauss stuff.
When I heard him with Alison Krauss, I remember going, I would have never been able to tell that's Robert Plant, but I didn't know he had that in him.
Yeah. Yeah. And he also, at least on that particular show, he reinterpreted some of the Zeppelin stuff to the point where it was unrecognizable, but lyrically you recognized it.
This record is, to me, is incredible.
Thank you. Thank you. I work very hard on my lyrics. I strive to be the best lyricist out there. I don't know if that's possible. I mean, there are some there's some wonderful writers out there, but I fine tune my lyrics. I try and have them say exactly what I want them to say in a literate way, to the point of frustration where I'll deliberate for an hour over whether it should be and or but, that kind of thing. So I work very hard on my lyrics, and I just want them to say exactly what I want them to say. I don't want there to be any superfluous words in there.
Now, Ripple in a Stream, to me, I got to get my 21-year-old son to listen to this song because every young person, if someone would have just told me, would I have listened back then? If someone would have told me, don't do that, would I have listened? Do I have to play it out?
Mm,
But tell me
mm.
about Ripple in a Stream.
It's about finding a direction, finding your muse, doing what you want to do with no expectations. Just do it to the best of your ability, enjoy it as much as you can, but have no expectations as to where it will take you.
I railed against my instincts at the cost of inner peace. I freaking love that line.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah,
I
it's
never
true.
thought of that. I mean, I used to write songs when I got, because every radio announcer is a frustrated musician, and or most of them. And I looked at that and I'm going, that's brilliant, man. That is good.
Yeah, it's true. And again, that's a line that it took me quite a while to finesse it, to say that in two sentences, or one sentence, really. It's a comma, isn't it? But that's how I write. I try and say, these days I try and say exactly what I want to say in as few words as possible.
What would you
And
tell your younger writer self? Let's say, what would you tell your early 20s with knowing what you know now? I know it's a cliche question, but is there
yeah,
something?
yeah, my younger self was very shy, very afraid of exposing too much. It was very opaque, very obtuse writing. If you saw through my eyes to the album, some of the writing on there, I mean, I know what I was trying to say, but my God, just say it. Don't put all these clothes on it. Expect people to strip the clothes away to find out what's underneath. Just say it. But it takes time. I've learned that over the years that it's okay to be naked sometimes.
Yeah.
I found out mostly that when I wrote my book. That was a huge lesson for me.
But everyone says writing a book is the most cathartic thing they could ever imagine because it's a whole new way of being naked, you know.
And you have to come to terms with, how much do I want these people to see? How much do I want them to know about me? Well, if this is my memoirs, if this is my autobiography, then they need to see everything. And that's kind of the way I approached it. And that, since I wrote the book, it's really given me a new vision on songwriting too. I think since I wrote the book, my songs have become a little bit clearer, even more clear.
Predator and prey, the bird and the fish. That there's multiple layers to what that means. Tell me about that song.
I read a book by a man named Richard Powers. You know Richard Powers? He wrote a book called The Overstory that won the Pulitzer Prize.
The Over Story?
Overstory, yeah. Whenever I see a novelist winning the Pulitzer Prize, I have to have that book. I have to read it. And I read The Overstory, and I was absolutely blown away. And at which point I ordered 4 more Richard Powers books. And one of those books was called The Time of Our Singing. And if anything, it was better than The Overstory. and it's a book. Well, from what I can tell, it's a book about interracial relationships, and he likens an interracial relationship to the bird and the fish. If the bird and the fish could fall in love, where would they build their nest? And I thought, I get emotional now just thinking about it. What a powerful statement. I just had to write a song about it. Just had to find a way to get into that thinking and write a song about it. Well, at the end of the day, it's whatever you read into it.
Yeah.
You know, I don't try and impose my thinking on people. I write the song and let them interpret it however they want to interpret it.
Yeah.
It's a fabulous book, though. I read a lot too.
Do you?
I really do. I read a lot because I know how much inspiration I get from reading too. An acquaintance of mine recently sent me a book from England. It's called The Endurance, and he said, I know it looks droll, but trust me, you will not regret reading this book. And it's a book about Ernest Shackleton's expedition to the Antarctic at the turn of the century. And amazing book. It reads like a novel. And the things they went through, I finished it about 3-4 weeks ago, and I'm already scribbling stuff down and making notes and trying to think of an entry point into it to try and make it into some kind of song. Mm-hmm. So I find inspiration just comes from all angles.
Does the ticking clock inspire you? Maybe that's the way I want to put it. Because I'm like I said, I'm doing the best work I've ever done. I find I was a lazy broadcaster. I was good. But I find what I'm doing now more important and more satisfying. But how do you, as a guy writing music all these years?
You sound just like me. I'm a lazy musician. I'm a lazy songwriter. And I've kind of loped along for so long that I felt in the last 4 or 5 years, I really need to master this thing. I really need to get down and focus and try and do something special with it before my time runs out. And that's kind of the way I've approached. Same with you, John. You know, I just there's something inside of me that is trying to write the perfect song, something that doesn't exist, you know. But hell, if I can even get within 50 feet of it, I'll be happy.
Where is the love? We sip our wine, watch TV, soon to be consumed by sleep, while thousands sleep out in the streets. That's one of my favorite songs on the album. Tell me about that one.
The invasion of the Ukraine that came about. I just felt how unjust that whole thing was. I feel in a similar way about the Palestinians and the Israelis. I find that a very unnecessary thing that's going on there. And I wanted to write a song that asked the question, you know, where is the love? But at the same time, I didn't want to appear to be lily white myself. I wanted to show that how it appears to me from a distance. I think we're all in some way guilty of that stuff, whether we participate or not. It's hard to explain songs.
She's a digital girl. Tell me about that song.
Oh, well, I love her dearly. You know, she's now 19. She was 18 when I wrote the song. But a typical modern teenager, you know, her telephone dictates her life. She seriously is a TikTok girl. But she's much more than that too. I think it's a touch wood. I think it's a phase. I think it's a veneer that she has. I know there's a lot more underneath there because I've seen it all.
But I think digital era for someone that age is a win in Rome thing. It's like you're 19.
Yeah, I tried to be loving about it again. I tried to see it from her point of view. I understand uh, to a certain extent what she's doing and that she wants to fit in. She doesn't want to be an outsider, which is where I came up with that line, "You won't understand, Dad." She swats at the door with a mouse in her hand. It's all real stuff. It's all things that she's done. I tried to be funny about it. I tried to be loving about it, but I tried to be factual about it as well. There are verses I left out too. About her, there's a verse that I left out about her. She doesn't read books. She says, "I don't read books, Dad. It isn't my bag." And she's off on another long digital jag.
How do you look at luck?
For me, it's being in the right place at the right time. It's where all those things align. You know, if you can find that moment in time and be right there in the center, then things will happen. That's what I believe. If that's luck, then I believe in luck.
I love that you and I were chalk and cheese, good intentions. Where did that come from?
Huh?
Chalk and cheese.
Yeah, yeah. It's an old English saying, as different as chalk and cheese. And I had a conversation recently with an old manager, and he managed me maybe 30 years ago, and we didn't part on the best of terms. It didn't end very well, and but over the years we've sort of healed it from a distance. You know, we talk and we text, and I happened to have a telephone conversation with him, and all that stuff came back again because we hadn't resolved it. You know, we found ourselves at loggerheads, and hopefully we can go through that process again and sort it all out. But I started thinking about it, and that's where the song came from. I better shoot soon. You're no deeper than a soup spoon. I think that's how it goes.
We'll have more from Ian Matthews coming up in the next few days. Make sure you subscribe to our channel. Click that bell notification because we're being told that a lot of subscribers aren't being told when we're releasing a new video. Like our videos, comment on them, and share them on social media. If you want to donate to the channel, there's a PayPal link at the very top. Also, get early access to our videos with Patreon, and buy our t-shirts and our jackets and our caps with our logo on it via our swag store. I'm John Bowden. This is Rock History Music.